If I use the table of values and I go through and I find out the sine of 45 degrees, which is pi over 4 in radians, I get square root of 2 over 2. If I go to 90 degrees, I get 1. 3 pi over 4, I get square root of 2 over 2. And pi, I get 0. Now let's think about it. If I graph this, and I made like kind of a modified table of values here, and I wrote these values in, but if you change these to decimals, like pi over 4, for example, is 0.79. So when we actually graph it later, I'll show you what it looks like in Desmos, but it's going to look a little different. But for now, I'm keeping it in radians just for simplicity's sake, though this doesn't look very simple to me, but just so we don't have to do too many steps. So I made the table of values. We know how to do this. These are called reference angles, the ones that we know the values of, that hopefully we have memorized by now. If not, that's okay. We'll do it later. But we start at 0, 0. Then we go to pi over 4, which, as we just discussed, is like 0.79-ish. It's an irrational number. So we're going to go up here. And then pi over 2, come back to the table of values. It's 1. We're going to keep coming up until we hit 1. And then we're going to come down to the same value. So 3 pi over 4 is also 0.79-ish. I'm trying to draw this as well as I can. And then the sine of pi, or 180, as you know, the unit circle. Actually, I'm going to draw that really quick. So here we are, we're right at 1, 0. And remember, the sine's the measure of the vertical axis, so we're back at 0 when we get to pi. That looks okay for me. Some guy who got a C in art in high school. It's not too bad. And when we go to the negative side, it's going to be the same. It's just going to keep oscillating or repeating. So we can go here, and we can go, whoops. We're going to go down to -1, and we're going to go back to negative 0.79, and we're going to get back to 0. And that looks awful, but hopefully you get the idea. And we talked about y is equal to the sine of x. I just want to talk about what happens in the midline if we use this function, sine function. In the midline, again, for this one, it's not again, I think this is the first time I'm telling you, but that is, well, the midline. It's halfway through the top and the bottom of the sine curve. So if we do this, this might seem obvious to you, but we're going to add 2 to each one of these y values. So it's going to shift it up 2. So we're going to be up, the midline then is going to be at, right now it's at 0, so the midline is going to be at 2.